Hi, folks. My name is Girish Bali, the host for Back to Basics, another Back to Basics for another week, on season two, that is. Today, we're going to talk to you about success, failure, success. Did I say success twice? I think I did. Because you know what? That is what it takes to be a successful person if you want to be. It's all about mindset of how you want to move forward, not back. And I usually don't say failures because failures means that there's no way out. So I think what I say is step back because success is always stepping forward. So today I have a guest. Her name is Nana, and she's a great person. I just spoke with her right before this recording, and she's a great person. So let's bring her in to Back to Basics on episode. Hi, how are you? And welcome to Back to Basics.
Oh, I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely, Nana. So, before we get into the details of who you are and what your book is all about and what a success mean and failure means and step back and forward and everything else, what does back to basic mean to you?
You know what? In this world, people overcomplicate so much, and I'll tell you the fundamentals, the things that are simple, the truths that just resonates to your core are always going to be basic. And they will sound deceivingly simple, but if we get the basics right, we're winning. We're
Yeah,
success.
yeah,
hmm
absolutely. Thank you again for coming on the show, and thanks for explaining the what the back to basics means to you. It seems like every guest comes up with different perspectives when it comes to the same
hmm
question. So thank you again. So Nana, how did you get into what you do today? You did not wake up in the morning and say, "This is what I'm going to do." There had to be
hmm
some journey or some trigger that happened that you went rock bottom or you said, "There's a fix that I need to do." What is your thought process on that?
Yeah, so I've been through many chapters in my life, and I would say the few main ones would be the moment my mom had shared with us that her cancer had returned. This is like about 20 years ago, so going back a while. And my first response to that in my mind was, okay, good. This means that she has another opportunity to look at her life in a different way, to get rid of patterns that weren't serving her and to make some significant shifts. So I asked her in that moment, what's your dream?
Hmm.
And she replied and said, oh, Nana, Japanese women aren't asked about their dreams. And my heart sank for a moment. And I was like, well, I'm asking you. And so she thought about it and then said, I want to be a full time writer. Now, she was kind of dabbling a little bit here and there, but she had three kids. She was going through cancer treatments, had an admin job, and was very busy. So she came up with all those reasons and excuses as to why she couldn't do that. So we left the conversation, and a little bit later, I was studying in Boston at the time. She calls me and says, Nana, Nana, I did it. I said, what did you do? She said, I figured out a way to write full time, and this is what I'm doing. I'm able to leave my admin job and really do this. And that moment for me was so beautiful because I knew that if she had something to live for, that the quality of her life and maybe even the duration of her life would be much, much better. And so, and at the same time, I could also see that there were patterns that weren't serving her. I didn't have the language before. Now I know them to be the mindset and the paradigm, which we'll probably get into in this show. And so that was a real turning point for me. So not only did my interest in health really increased because of seeing my mom pass away at age 54, but also the mindset component, really, like what gives meaning to our life, what is our purpose, and of course with that we want to live abundantly. So that's really that was one of the starting points. I then became a naturopathic doctor, saw patients, amazing patients for several years, then pivoted, and I'm into consulting now, really focusing on the mindset and the idea of your healthy success, because it makes no sense to work really hard and become a financial success, but then you don't have your health to
Hmm.
enjoy it or to live it out, right? So it's a real passion of mine to have people living well, optimally, both in their body and their mind and spirit, and to really make the contribution they're meant to make.
Hmm. Yeah. Thank you again for that. Let me ask you one quick question before we get into the details of this. Mental health versus emotion health. Which one comes first for you? Or is
That's
there a
interesting.
difference?
Yeah, I don't know that I would necessarily. I guess you could, if you think about something long enough, you can like cut up an idea, right? So you can compartmentalize, but everything in life is very kind of interconnected. So when I think of a mental process, it's really the thinking, it can be analytical, it can be where you originate or refine, clarify ideas, right? So if those ideas that are flowing through someone's mind are not helpful, right? Oh, I'm not worthy, this is hard, everyone else is to blame. Those are unhelpful ideas that have, this mental programming that can lead to beliefs and then an identity. Our emotional well being really is the part of us that's connected with all that is, and it's how we feel. So this is the energy that we emanate. Some would say from our heart. I believe it's from our heart and our entire being. So there's definitely an interplay and a connection between the two. You can use that mental thought to override the old programming, but it's kind of stacked. The ratio of it, some would say it's less than 5% of where our power comes from in terms of our results come from our rational thinking mind, and over 95% comes from our emotional, subconscious, energetic mind. So, not to go too deeply, but that's a lot of what I cover in my book and with our clients.
Yeah,
Hmm.
thank you again, by the way, for explaining the differences. Some people they say that there's no difference. Some people they say mental health comes first, then emotional. Some people say the other way around. So you brought a different perspective on that, and I'll think about that next time when I read your book on that. So thank you again for that. Your Healthy Success is the book that you started. What is the thought process of the title? That's the first thing I want to ask you. Because I think title comes first, writing comes first. Which one came for you?
Mm. I think I started to write, and
Hmm.
then I had a title in mind, and it crystallized as I was writing.
Hmm.
It's really about the idea of living your purpose with great health and wealth. So it's not where you feel like you have to choose one over the other, which is how I was conditioned, how most of us have been conditioned. It's really about saying, okay, well, if I enhance my health, it's actually going to positively enhance my wealth. And if I enhance my wealth, it'll open up access to things for my health as well, right? So, and it's not just health and wealth, it's the riches in all areas of your life, love, relationships, right? Well-being, contribution. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you again. And so while you were writing, you had an idea, you had a topic in your head that this is what I'm going to do. Did you kept on writing the titles on the right side of your sticky note and said, these are the things, these are the topics that I want to come up with, or these are the title of the book that I want? What's the head process of that? Did you get like
yeah.
feedback
Hmm.
from someone else, or where did that come from?
Yeah, I can tell you've spoken to a lot of authors, because you're talking about the creative process of writing a
That's right.
book, right?
That's
So,
right.
for me, it was really just a matter of carving out the time. There was no writer's block. It was this incredible flow. Um, I didn't even think I would have had a book at this point. I thought, yeah, maybe sometime in the future, I'll get to that. And it was interesting. I was watching a mentor, a speaker of mine on stage, and she just inspired me so much. And I just felt like, oh. oh, I meant to write this book now. Oh my gosh. And it felt like this, oh, this baby is coming and it's coming earlier than we thought.
Mm.
So it just felt, the whole process has felt like a divine download. I mean, even us connecting, how did we connect? You know, I'm not quite sure, but we attract who we're meant to connect with, right?
Mm.
And it's just, it was a divine download. So the more technical aspect, I came up with the outline, and I came up with a list of ideas I for sure wanted to cover, for sure I knew would be important for my readers to hear about. And then once I got the headings of each of the chapters, then it was really easy. You know, I would think of, okay, which story is going to help demonstrate or illustrate this idea, and then I just kept going, and it really flowed out of me.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you again, by the way. And let me just talk to my audience 1 second here. So, guys, keep in mind that you can have an idea. You don't know how to write a book. You don't know how to publish it. That's what Google and that's what everything else is for. But the main thing is that you need to have an idea. When you have that idea, just write it down. You do not have to have a title, just like what she mentioned. But like my other authors mentioned too, just write it down. Your title will come in place. Eventually it will. And that's your, it doesn't matter if you make money or not. It matters is that your idea and your thought process comes into that book, into that black and white paper. That's what it means. So yeah, so thank you again for that. What are the three uh, when they come to you, when clients they come to you, what are the three main things that they ask you for help?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I would say a number of my clients really want help in shifting their money mindset,
Hmm.
because they know absolutely that that's the key to inviting more actual financial abundance into their life. You know, that translates into bank account dollars and increased cash flow, increased business revenue and profit. Because we can do all of these things at the mechanical, strategic level, but really that's worth less than 5% of where our results come from. So we want to really hone in on the mindset, which is where over 95% of our results come from. So we have a mindset toward everything, including money and abundance, your business. So that would probably be one of the main reasons why people come to me. The other one is I've worked with a number of people successful from the outside, right? It looks like, okay, they've got the house, they've got the family, they've got that income, they've got that career or that business, yet they are just, if not already at burnout, getting close, dangerously close to that place of burnout. And so they, with their conditioning, their mental programming says, well, if I want to sustain this, I have to keep working harder. If I want to grow financially, I've got to, you know, if I want to double, let's say I've got to double my stress. And that's not a possibility, right? Because they know how close they are to
Hmm.
having everything collapse. So they're stuck, right? They're feeling
Hmm.
stuck. Like they know that there's something greater. They can feel there's something greater, the next level, but they're overwhelmed. They don't know what the next step is. And so clarity with their next best step, and doing it in a healthy way, right? So
Hmm.
it's going to require a total shift in mindset and perception, and mindset and skill set, by the way. So
Hmm.
we go deep into the mindset, but we also cultivate a skill set of more abundant thinking and living, more healthy thinking, mindset, and living, right? So very practical things
Hmm.
that they can do so that they're healthy in the process
Hmm.
of making that contribution. And uh, you know, most people won't say this when they first come to me, but I've done a poll with my clients, and one of the number one benefits they've experienced, in addition to earning, you know, more money and feeling
Hmm.
healthier and more energetic, is that their confidence improves. They
Hmm.
feel like even if they don't know how to do something, or they might not know the next steps, they feel confident that they will be able to, which is huge, right?
Mm.
Because we're all going to be beginners at new things. At some point,
Sure.
everyone was a beginner. There's a starting point. So I would say that, and then like just helping people identify where they're stuck, where their starting point is.
Mm.
We all have blind spots
Mm.
because, I mean, you just have this programming that's operating under the radar and you don't even notice it, and it's
Mm.
controlling your whole life and all your results. So if you don't know what that blind spot is, it can really mess things up for you if you're wanting to get to the next level. So
Mm.
having help in identifying that, which I help people with all the time, because then once you know your blind spot, your starting point, which is your paradigm, then we know what's going to help propel you forward. And
Mm.
I take people through that process.
So let me ask you this, right? Here's
Mm-hmm.
a scenario: a person has been working for the longest years, and has this set of salary in their mind. 401 got there, medical is there, and taking care of the kids is there, right? And all of a sudden, the shift goes over to the entrepreneurship thought process.
Yes, I love it. Mm-hmm.
So that person, there will be a day that you're going to get zero money in your pocket. There will be a day that you'll get a lot of money in your pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think money plays a big role, or emotion and mental health plays a bigger role?
So we have to understand what money is, right? Money, good health, good relationships, those are just the effects
Hmm.
of a deeper root cause. So we want to work with the cause of all of our effects. So that's actually a mistake that people make, is they have a goal and they want to earn money. That's just great. So you know what kind of effect you want to produce. But then we've got to look at, okay, what's the cause that's going to drive that kind of effect? And so, really it's the mindset. And by mindset, it's not just the mental. I mean, like the energetic, the what you're radiating out, what you're sending out to the world. It has to come back to you, because what you're sending out, that's the cause. And then what comes back to you in the form of money or great relationships or whatever it is you want is the effect. So I really, really start with the root cause,
Hmm.
and then the money follows, right? So you could have two people going for the same goal, and one person can be going for it with a really negative, pessimistic attitude where they just feel like, oh, nothing ever works out. It's always so
Hmm.
hard, and I've got to grind it out, and it's going to take me this long. It's going to take me 10 times as long as what it actually will take, right? So those are some negative beliefs, and we're so powerful that whatever we believe will be true for our experience. So if we want different results and a different experience, well, I suggest we shift the belief and the mindset, right? So,
Hmm.
well, what if it was simpler than I'm making it? What if I could hire some help and get some mentorship, with a
Sure.
mindset coach? What if it won't take as long as what I think or what society says?
Hmm.
Or what if I can break free? What if a new life, instead of being salaried, because this is what you're talking about, being salaried and going to be an entrepreneur, what if I could accept that as a new identity, a new idea for myself, a new self-image and concept? And what if I do have what it takes and I'm willing to put in the right kind of work, right?
Hmm.
So those are some really powerful ideas that I just shared, that if anyone is looking at that kind of a transition,
Hmm.
they would do really well they could choose to accept those ideas for themselves.
Hmm.
And then we start to see the translation into the material results, right? We
Hmm.
pair the mindset and pair it with the skill set.
Yeah, thank you again. One last question, if you don't mind. So let's say there's another scenario. In a quick way, we're going to answer this, right? A person who has a whole bunch of loans and debts and credit cards and everything else, right? And they go into the circle, and their salary is not that big, and they keep on paying it on time. So the credit score is not a problem. The creditors are not knocking on his or her door. Okay, they're doing everything correct what they're supposed to, but they cannot come out of that rut. But in that same thought process, they want to be an entrepreneur, but they cannot come out of the debt situation. So, what are your thought process on that?
Yeah, you've got to stop looking at the condition, right? And not allow the condition to control you. So anytime you say, oh, I can't do that because I can't afford it, I want to do that, but I don't have the time, I don't have the money, I don't have the resources, I have too much debt. Anytime you catch yourself saying that to yourself or thinking that, you've got to focus on what it is you really want without letting the circumstance dictate what you decide to do. So you decide what it is you want, and then you make a committed decision. By the way, it's not just like a wish, a committed decision, and then you figure out how you're going to do it. Because what that does is it taps into inner resources, ideas. You'll attract opportunities that you wouldn't have even known about or considered, and you'll figure out a way. If you want something bad enough, you will always figure out a way. So the first step is to decide that you're making a change,
Hmm.
know what that change is, and then go for it. It's a very good question, and there are many layers to that. We go deep on self-image, shifting the energy, your beliefs around it, shifting at that mindset paradigm level, super important.
Hmm.
And it's amazing what people come up with and what they can do.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you again for that. And one last question, if you don't mind, before you leave today. What does success mean to you?
Oh, I love it. So everyone has their own definition of what success would look like for them,
Hmm.
right? So for me, just the general idea of success is really a progressive movement toward your worthy ideal.
Hmm.
So if you're taking one step toward that, instead of going backwards, you're a success. It's the process, and it's also you get to define it for yourself, right? So
Hmm.
for me personally, I am a success every time I help someone else realize their purpose, their dream, and really give them the tools needed to get it done, to fully experience that. So
Hmm.
that for me is success.
Yeah, thank you again for coming here. And before you leave, do you have any last words for Back to Basics and how your journey has been on Back to Basics so far?
Oh, this is great. I'm so loving that you've created this platform. I know that your listeners are really getting so much out of this show and all the other shows that you produce. So I just want to show some appreciation for you and what you do. I think it's wonderful. Um, I would say, allow yourself to answer the question, what would I really, really love?
Hmm.
What's your dream? And I've done a lot of trainings on this. I have a free masterclass on my website people can check out. It's nanajokura.com. So NANAJOKURA. And they can check out a free masterclass that goes into your dreams and achieving your dreams. So that could be a tool for them. But really having the courage to ask yourself that and allowing yourself to get honest with what the answer is,
Hmm.
and also being courageous enough to look at where you are right now and really look at that. Don't gloss over it. Don't trick yourself and say, oh, well, say it's better than it is, because that gap, that difference between what you want and where you are now, if you harness the feeling of dissatisfaction, can move mountains. It
Hmm.
is so powerful, and I'm sure you have felt this too. It can be the driving force to get you through tough times, challenging times. So I would actually allow yourself to get super, super honest with what it is you want. And if right now you're not living the way you want, then take that step right now. And it, might be connecting with yourself or connecting with me, but just go ahead and move in that direction. Right? Take that step.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you again for Nana for coming here to Back to Basics and making this brighter for me and enjoyable for me and try to understand the word success and the word failure, or I should say step back, because I don't like to use the word failure. It's just amazing how you came here and accepted my offer. So thank you again for coming on my show.
You're so welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you again. So, guys, we spoke with Nana today, and we talked about the basics of success. We talked about basics of life. We talked about the healthy, successful, and everything else what we have talked about. So, as usual, as always, there is a quote of the day from Back to Basics, and hopefully Nana will like that too. And here's a quote of the day. The quote of the day is: success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage in continue that counts. I think that's what we said in different ways in many different aspects of it. And there were like 3 examples that we had on the episode today, so hopefully you'll listen to that. And there'll be all the information on my show notes about my guest and her website and her book and everything else and how you can connect with her. As usual, as always, what do I always say at the end of the episode? Everything in life goes back to basics, and that's what we did today, guys. Guys, take care. God bless. Keep on commenting as much as you can. Good, bad, and ugly. Either way, it'll make my show stronger day by day, week by week. And there are 3 things, which is the main thing in this show. The content is going to be amazing. The guest is going to be awesome. But the best of all is the host. Host does everything here. So guys, take care, God bless, and keep on blessing me and supporting me. Take care, God bless. Next week's episode on Back to Basics.
Need, and then provide that as a service to them. Ultimately, an entrepreneur is about being a creator, from my view.
Wow. So, because my thought process for entrepreneur means that you want to start a new business, but now you bring a different aspect that, there's even a personal life to it, a marriage life to it, when it comes to entrepreneurship, and you think in a different innovative thinking when it comes to marriage and everything else. So thank you again for that. So Joe, let me talk about your book, if you don't mind. So the name of your book is How to Succeed as a Married Entrepreneur, the Foundation Guide to Starting a Business Without Ending Your Marriage. Wow, that's a long word. But so how did that title came about? What?
The title came out. I have a background in copywriting, and so talking about kind of pain and benefit is where the title came from. But really, for me, it started with nearly losing my own marriage, and the challenges that I faced with that. Man, I tell you, Girish, I was good at business. I was great with clients. My colleagues loved me. Business was going well, and I would come home, and this person who I loved, she didn't